After taking Achilles' son to Troy, Odysseus had to undertake a mission that would cause him great embarrassment. He was to find Hercules' weapons, and he knew very well where they were. On the island of Lemnos was Philoctetes, the warrior who had been abandoned there almost 10 years ago because of his snake injury. He felt a great hatred for Odysseus, responsible for his having been left behind. Odysseus asked the hero for forgiveness, for Philoctetes was heir to Hercules' bow and his magnificent arrows bathed in the Lernaean Hydra's blood. But the forsaken hero would not pardon the Greeks. He turned his back on Odysseus and said he would not travel to Troy. Hercules, who after his death went to live with the gods, spoke in Philoctetes' ear. He told him that he had given him the bow to take him to Troy and that his destiny would be fulfilled that way. After Hercules' intervention, Odysseus took Philoctetes and the divine bow to the shores of Troy. The serpent wound, the reason for his abandonment, still had a putrid odor. But Philoctetes was miraculously treated by the best physician of the Greeks. The hero, who before could barely put his foot down, was completely cured. Everyone was amazed by the miracle. At that moment, the gods seemed to favor the Greeks. They were preparing for another assault on the walls of Troy. The protectors were weak, but the strong defensive position was a huge advantage. Aeneas led the Trojans and their allies in defending the base of the wall, preventing the Greeks from climbing it. Meanwhile, Paris provided cover for Aeneas, commanding the archers who fired the projectiles from the top of the wall. Neoptolemus embodied his father's spirit. By the start of the fight, he had already slaughtered more than 10 enemies. Paris seemed to be having a déjà vu. He had a feeling. If he could shoot down the mighty Achilles with his arrows, then he could also shoot down his son. Philoctetes, with his divine bow, would not allow the cowardly Trojan prince to bring down another Greek hero. He struck straight at the Trojan prince, who felt intense pain, much greater than a normal wound. Paris cried out in pain as he was accosted by his brother Deiphobus. But they did not know that the arrow had been bathed in the poisonous blood of the Hydra of Lerna. Few people in the world knew the antidote to that poison. The Trojans managed to repel the Greek attack, but the prince and heir to the throne lay dying on his bed. No Trojan physician knew how to help him. Paris remembered Oenon, the nymph to whom he had vowed love before he met Helen. She knew the secrets of herbs and could cure any ailment. Paris was carried on a stretcher to the nymph's dwelling at the foot of Mount Ida. The Trojan prince threw himself at Oenon's feet and begged for help, but time and bitterness had hardened the nymph's heart. She told the prince to seek salvation in Helen, whom he had chosen as his wife. With great pain in her heart, Oenon refused to render aid to the only love of her life. By the time the men carrying Paris returned to Troy, the prince's spirit had departed for Hades. Helen mourned the death of Paris. Meanwhile, Deiphobus and his brother Helenus fought to decide who would be the new husband of the world's most beautiful woman. Paris's body burned on the funeral pyre. Hidden, the nymph Oenon saw everything. She felt enormous pain and guilt for having let her beloved Paris die. In an act of love and desperation, the nymph threw herself into the flames and burned to ashes, holding her beloved.